Right, so justice for Kopi. If you ever wondered what it is, this video hopefully will have shed some light. There will be a couple of more videos. I'm hoping to speak to a few more people uh, who are close to the subject. Hopefully, this will be a short little playlist. The audio in this video is not so great, so hopefully you'll concentrate on the message or what Boku's trying to say. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it.
Right, my name is Mukunna Sukumaran, born, brought up back in Taiping. I'm 45 this year. Well, good 45 years of life. Seen a lot of things in life for good 45 years. Uh, who am I personally? I would say I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. That's me. But I also have my serious side of it. Started, finished my school. I moved into college. I did my building and architecture diploma. Finished it. Then I came into KL. Uh, Started my career with public bank for good 5 years. From public bank, got into sales and marketing for good 3 years. From there, I moved into call center environment. The call center was another learning curve that I had, and from there, I explored and decided what I wanted to do, and I got into human resources. And I've been a HR practitioner for the past 16 years. All right, and I've done multiple roles within HR. So governance, recruiting, speaking with people, understanding people has been a part of my role. So to be precise, I think having all this exposure made me realize what I could do and what I wanted to do. All right. So from personal note, that's me. From the other hand, care and love for animal has been there since my younger days. As I said, I've seen a lot of things in my life. Good 45 years. I had dogs, multiple dogs. I had cats. I had fishes. I had a lot of goats and all this as a part of my life ecosystem. So the interest and love for animal has been there from my younger days. So that's where I started exploring more about animals. What can I do based on my working experience and analyzing things? And I noticed that in 2016, I have to start doing something about it. And that's when MAWA started. All
So
right,
tell me about this shelter of yours. It's called what?
MAWA. MAWA is the abbreviation of MAWA is Malaysian Animal Welfare Association. Uh, in Bahasa Melayu is Persatuan Kebajikan Haiwan Malaysia.
Where is it? Where is it?
So currently we are located at Hulu Langat. We are sheltering about 400 dogs,
Oh,
8 cats,
yep.
9 tortoises. We used to have 2 goats, but they are no longer with us. Uh, so we are housing them
So
there.
I can invite to your shelter.
Definitely. Uh, People are invited. Everyone is invited to the shelter. Well, uh, by invitation, by letting us know earlier so that we can give you the location where it is. The location is not published anywhere in social media due to safety reasons. And we notice when they know the shelter is there, people tend to dump. So that's the reason why we don't expose where the shelter is. However, for those who have visited, they tend to share with others, and we have noticed people dumping puppies in front of our shelter, dogs in front of our shelter. So that's the reason why we are keeping it confidential. Other than that, by invitation, you let us know you're coming. We are happy to be there to invite you, to welcome anybody who like to see, play, and spend their time with our fur kids at the shelter. So we at the shelter, we actually encourage people to come and not to clean, wash, or do those kind of work. We entertain and we welcome people, even the volunteers, to come and spend time with the dogs, showering them, spending time, playing with them, uh, or even grooming them, where they have personal touch and bonding with the dog. So that's the reason why that's something that we do and we want people to do, continue doing, and they create bond with the animal.
Um, and how long has this been around for?
We started the shelter in 2016, and when we first started with our initial rescued dogs, which was 18 of them, all right? So we had them in our house, in a single story house, sorry, in a double story house to be precise. And we had a lot of complaints from the neighbors, and multiple times the council came and disturbed and gave us warning, all right? So due to that, we had no choice to look for a space to relocate them to somewhere safer to ensure they are well taken care of, they are not being disturbed by anyone, and we had to eventually do that, all right? So we had to move them into a shelter. So that's how the shelter started, all right? So prior to starting shelter, me, my wife, even my daughter, we were actually feeders. We were feeding around Serdang, Balakong, at least about 50, 60 dogs at the time on a daily basis. So that was right after work. On the way back home, we will go and feed before we get back home. So that was how we saw a lot of things happening. So we saw some dogs needed shelter, and we brought them back home, and then eventually we found the house was full. So that's how we started forming our shelter with the 18 dogs, and eventually the numbers grew to 400 now. Justice for Kopi. Okay, so it was fine one fine day. I still remember that I received this message through my WhatsApp about Kopi, right? Several months ago, I did receive another message about Kopi where she was playing with a wonderful cat on the street in Besut, Terengganu. And that was a very pleasing and very interesting video to watch because whenever people start fighting, they say about cats and dogs, fighting like cats and dogs. But literally in front of everyone's eyes, everyone saw Kopi and a little cat. They were friends. Kopi was playing with this small little kitten along the corridor. Just as time went on, in October, you know, we received, I received another message that Kopi was shot dead. So it was painful to hear a dog that went viral because playing with a cat was shot dead at the same place, all right? The same dog. So that kind of not only brought pain to us as animal rescuers, but I think a lot of public were also had the similar pain, and they were feeling so sad because the viral of this dog called Kopi and that kitten went so viral that everybody knew about it, right? And we noticed that Kopi was shot and was left by the roadside, still breathing, taking his last breath, and the rescuers trying to calm the dog down. And back in Besut, there's no 24 hours vet that could help, and they couldn't save Kopi, right? And Kopi was dead and gone. Now, everyone of us got angry about it because, first of all, uh, shooting an innocent soul caught everyone's attention. It was so painful to see the video of it going off. Number three, everyone could relate Kopi to the little kitten. So that actually brought us some of the NGO leaders, captured their attention. I got a call from animal rights lawyers saying, let's do something about this. And I was all out ready for this.
So who exactly shot the Kopi?
Okay, so this is the uh, most important question I like to answer. It was done by the authority of the Besut Council district council itself. Besut District Council officers, enforcement officers, they shot down this dog during their operations. And apparently, the statement that was given that the dog was trying to attack them. For us, when you see the dog was playing with a kitten, do you think it's going to attack somebody? It was a friendly dog. It was living on the street. Everyone knew Kopi around that area. There was feeders that feeding Kopi, and Kopi had a name called Kopi. Okay, the feeder named it Kopi, and that's the reason why we call it Justice for Kopi. All right, it's not that we named Kopi right after she got shot. No, it was the dog had a name. All right, so Bursard Council officers shot it down. They didn't bother to collect anything. They just left the body and they just left, and it was going off. And that caught our attention. You know, the animal rights called me. The animal rights lawyer called me and said, "Buku, can we do something about this? And let's call as many people as possible to be at Sentul IPD or police headquarters to lodge a report." So for me, when it comes to anything to do with law enforcement, I'm always all out to make the difference, right? So prior to this Kopi's case, I've lodged cases against multiple councils, and for me, Kopi's case is also equally important as well. So a group of NGO, we all got together, along with the rescuers, along with the feeders, along with all animal lovers at IPD Sentul, and we had roughly about 150 people gathered in front of IPD Sentul. So alongside with GHRF President, Mr. Shashi, alongside with SAFM President, Mr. Kalai, and myself, we decided to go on with the case. We decided to lodge a report against the council. We decided to get the investigation to start, and we lodged the report. So to represent all these animal lovers, all these NGOs, Mr. Shashi did the report on behalf, because the police told one report is sufficient enough to, to take on action on this case. So,
So, the incident happened in Besut. Why was the report done in Besut?
all right. So technically, we were not there in Besut. All right. So as a person who viewed the video, we can actually lodge a report from any nearest police station. All right. So you don't have to go all the way to Besut to do this. All right. So we decided to do it at IPD Sentul because I think it's convenient for a lot of people to be at the central area to come and show their interest, to show their support and justice needed for Kopi. That's the reason why we called everyone to come there, all right? And we wanted to make sure that the public is able to see the amount of support that Kopi had and the importance towards this case. So that's the reason why we did it at IPD Sentul. And we thought we could gather only 50, but to my surprise, we had 150 people. There were people from as far as Negeri Sembilan, there were people from Ipoh, there were people, and majority of them actually from Klang Valley. And it was just within less than 24 hours. We had good 150 people who turned out to show their support, and we are also eager to know that if action will be taken. Now, so that's how everything started about justice for Kopi. And we didn't stop there, you know. We wanted the authority to do their work, let them go on with their investigation and do whatever necessary. But as a group, we thought we need to put a stop to all this. We want Kopi's case to be the last case of shooting in this country. We want things to change for animal welfare. We want things to change for the animals, especially those in the street. And we noticed there's a lot of loopholes in the law itself, in the Act 772, Animal Welfare Act 2015 amendment. And we noticed Section 30 of Animal Welfare Act clearly says no shooting, right? But how can the council shoot when there's a law says you cannot shoot? Now, when I said I've seen a lot of things in my life, good 15 years of my life, I've seen the council shooting the dogs, all right? And most importantly, I would say why my first 15 years is because I had a lot of pets with me. Okay, I had good 4 or 5 dogs around me, and two of them were shot dead in front of my eyes. All right, and we couldn't do anything. All right, they will shoot, they will put it into their 4x4 trailer, they will take it off, and they'll go off. You don't even get the rights to go and bury it on your own hands. So the hatred towards the council for me started back then, what they were doing. But the remaining part of my life, I noticed they were actually capturing and putting them to sleep, euthanizing them. But when I, when all this has happened, nothing was solved. The problems were strays, the homeless animals are still there. There's a lot of dogs and cats which is still roaming around. Nothing has been done. Nothing has solved. Neither the government has failed to solve this. No, even the animal NGOs are not able to do anything because we have our boundaries, we can't go beyond, and there's limitation that we have. People think NGO has money, people think that the welfare or shelters, they will have money, money will be coming in. Trust me, not all shelter has that privilege. I would say not all. Most of the shelters doesn't have that facility. All right. So it is tough. So I believe now that both government, the NGOs, the public all needs to work hand in hand. All right. So that's the reason why we decided to move on to send a memorandum to DVS right after lodging a report with IPD Sentul. We crafted a memorandum to DVS to tell them that there's a lot of changes that needs to be done to the act. All right. And I will share a little bit more what is written on the memorandum, but I would like to say what happened next. So after DVS, we thought we need more powerful impact. All right. So that's when we went to our lawmakers. We had our parliament gathering that was done 2-3 weeks ago, where we wanted the lawmakers to voice this out, make the changes to the law because they are the ultimate people who can make the decision and change the law in this country. All right. And that should be enacted and the changes should come from them, and we wanted them to bring this up in the parliament and standardize things across the whole nation for the benefit of the animals. All right. Now, what was written in the memorandum is very straightforward. We had 10 points. I'm going to share some of the points that we have. Number one is immediate stop on killing any uh, homeless animals or strays that you see on the street. We want them to, first thing is immediately stop on this. So when we say stop, we didn't just stop there by saying them stop killing and don't give them a solution. So we went on to say that please endorse trap, neuter, release management in Malaysia. Why trap, neuter, release management? Please remember, a lot of countries has practiced this, and they have said trap, neuter, release management has been effective, and they have been trying and they have seen the results. All right. Now, we also understand that the the government, when we sent in multiple proposals about TNRM, they have not endorsed or even condoned this TNRM because they feel they shouldn't be on the streets. All right. The dogs are not supposed to be on the street or not supposed to be seen on the street. Okay, so let it be dog or cat or any animal that is considered as stray. All right. So that's when I personally had to sit down and craft a second proposal back then to tell them that, look, if you don't endorse TNRM, I'll give you another solution where you allocate 5 acre land per district, and whatever dogs that we can find, we will put into this land. So this land will be peripheral fenced, and people are managing the feeders will go and manage, feed them inside there. We will capture all the dogs, we will put into this compound, and they will be neutered, they will be vaccinated, it will be safe. Then we try not to have permanent structures as long as some minimal space for them to cover from shade, whether it's sun or rain, so that they have something to sleep or wherever they can sleep and safe. Right? And number two, they will also have the freedom to move around. And number three, the public don't have to worry about being seeing the dogs on the street or even the cats. Well, I've done this, but so far no results because everyone has their own agenda. So again, in the memorandum, one of the items we still spoke about is TNRM because it's cost effective and it can be broken down into management. The community can manage them, the local feeder around the housing area can manage them, and they will stop multiplying further. Right? Third thing is we told them to abolish the pound, the dog pound. So for those who don't know what it is, whenever you call the council to lodge a report saying there's a stray dog in front of my house, the process goes like this. The complaint is taken, the council enforcement team will send their team over to your place. They will not only capture the dog that you complained about, they also capture whoever they see, any dogs or cats that they see along the way. All right. The problem could be only one dog, but when they capture the whole pile of it. Now, what happens next? Once they get into the truck, when they are caught, they get they are at the risk of getting all kind of infection. Please remember these trucks that they use, the materials that they use, the snares, the loop, the net, whatever they use are not sterilized every time after using, including the truck is not being washed. Right? So they are prone for all kind of diseases. So the moment they are being caught and put into the truck, they get into disease. Now, and even when they are trying to catch the dog, they don't use the proper SOP. Right? Technically, when they catch a dog, when they use the loop or the snare is the thing that they use to strangle the dog. They are supposed to use two to capture a dog. One is around the neck, another one is around the belly, so that the dog doesn't move. And second thing, they can easily lift up, and it has enough support for the dogs to be put into the truck. So in most cases, what happens is they use one snare and they will loop around the neck, and when they lift up, there's chances the spine gets broken and they get paralyzed lifelong. Right? So these are the hidden things that you don't see. Some of y'all get the joy of laughing when you see the dogs are being caught. People like me, we start crying looking at the dogs that's being caught or in the process of catching. So once they get into the pound, they are being dumped into small cages, a size of a single bedroom. You can see about 30 dogs inside. Just imagine you are living in a single story terrace house with 50 people in that house. How would you feel emotionally? All right, you get stressed. When you are stressed, you start fighting with people. Then you start getting into argument, and things gets on. So that same exact thing happens with the dogs in the pound.
So at the end, right? At the end of the whole thing, what do you you what do you hope come out of justice?
All right, we want the law to change. Number one, we want the law to change. Number two, we want the government to take necessary action for the enforcement and also the knowledge of Animal Welfare Act 2015 to go up. So I hope when they change the Animal Welfare Act to a newer version, those acts are actually being taught to the kids, adults, and it's being preached all over the place. Now, when I say it's being preached, just an example, when JPJ comes out with a new law, you get to know because it's in social media, it's on the TV, it's everywhere, you know, and you're being cautious about it. But when you walk out to a mall, you ask 100 people, are you aware about Animal Welfare Act 2015 or even generally as Animal Welfare Act? They wouldn't know. Trust me, even if you get 5 people, it's considered blessing if they get to know what is Animal Welfare Act. All right, that's how bad it is. That's how terrible that nobody knows about Animal Welfare Act. What are the rights that the animals have? Number one. Number two, we also notice the act does not cover for the stray animals, the homeless animals. All right. So I believe if there's a law, the act should work for any form of animal, whether they are being owned by somebody or whether they are homeless. All right. Just because they are homeless, you can shoot them. So what is the purpose of Section 30 in Animal Welfare Act? All right. Same thing goes. If I, as a owner, I slap and harm my dog, I can be charged under the Section 29. But if I do the same thing to a stray dog, I can escape from it. So what is the purpose of the law? So the law should be for all animals which is treated badly and injustice done to them. Right? So we want the law to change. Let me summarize this. We want the law to change, number one. Number two, we want people to be educated about Animal Welfare Act. Number three, no kill policy should be implemented throughout Malaysia. Number four, standardization of the law across the whole nation. Why I say this? When we have to go and get a license for dog, the process is different from district to district, state to state. All right. Let's take Selangor itself. All right. If you own a house in Kajang, no worries. If it's an intermediate house, you're allowed to have 2 dogs. You can go and apply for the license as long as your documents are correct. If it's a corner house, you can have 4, and it depends on the square feet size. But where else? If you go to Shah Alam, you got to get consent from your neighbors. All right, that means your opposite neighbor, your 2 sides neighbors, and the back neighbor. Now, my question is only one. I spend the money to buy the house, and I don't have the privilege. I got to depend on somebody else's approval to have a dog in my house, which can be a guard. So we want this to change. When they have this kind of protocols, adoption rate drops, people don't go and adopt, and people will not have dogs. How do you think the dogs on the streets are going to be adopted? How can the shelters work? All right. So this is one I think. Another thing that we want to do is there is a section under Department of Veterinary Services called Animal Welfare Board. This Animal Welfare Board should be separated from Department of Veterinary Services, and our demand was actually to put them under the Prime Minister's department. The Animal Welfare Board is supposed to be responsible to make sure the welfare of animals, let it be stray, let it be with owners, let it be your livestock, which is in the farm, are well treated, well taken care of. Number two is also to make sure that they are doing proper investigation to any report that is done. All right. Now, when they are under Department of Veterinary Services, the veterinary department director can be influencing the results of the investigation. All right. So we want them to be out, and the involvement of NGOs throughout Malaysia coming up together, being a part of the Animal Welfare Board should be made compulsory. And why I say it should be out and why we are telling about NGOs, let me tell you, I'm not a certified veterinarian. But to know what's happening in this world, to know what's those injustice that's happening to animals, I don't have to be a qualified veterinarian. All you need to do have passion and patience. That's my understanding. Right? Because we have a lot of veterinarians in the Department of Veterinary Services. but they are more concerned about the production of livestock that's happening in the farm, but not to the animal welfare in this country. So we want that to change.
So we are now in November 2024.
Yep.
Um, so where is everything in terms of justice coffee right now? Maybe we can do another video to see what happens. But where is everything at right now?
Well, it has gone to Parliament. People have spoken about it in Parliament. The MPs have spoken in Parliament.
Which
We have YB Chong. We had YB Ismail Sabri spoke about it. We had YB Ryer who spoke about it, right? But there's no action. Nothing has been done. No enactment has been done that this should change. Now, for us, it's not going to stop there. For me personally, it's not going to stop there. We're going to take it more and more till we see the change happens, till we see the result of it. We are not going to stop. All right. We don't want we don't want to bring this as an international news. We don't want people to see Malaysia as a country that's riots for every single thing. All right. But all we want to do is, if we need to get to the streets, we need to show people that this has to be done. We will do it. All right. So we will continue fighting for the justice of Kopi and its friends who were killed all this while. And sometimes there's a lot of ugly pictures that's not being seen by people, and we are also not allowed to reveal. But let me tell you something: the process of euthanizing sometimes is very painful, because the people who's doing the euthanizing does not follow the proper SOP. And if you all watched recently, there were some dogs and puppies that were not really properly euthanized, and they were ready to be buried almost half alive in Manjung. Okay, the puppies were still moving around while the mama was already killed. And what do you think is going to happen to the puppy? They were left to starve. And do you think they can eat food, rice? No, they need to depend on the milk. So this is actually a slow death. The next thing that happens is people are more interested to lodge a complaint, but they don't see the results, which is very painful. Trust me, when you report, it's very, very painful for us.
and what's your final word on this, especially for the new people? What's your final word on it?
Please continue to support. Please continue. Please bring this awareness. Go and share this out to a lot of people. Bring this to the next level. We have been shouting and shouting and shouting. Yes, we have been doing that. But for those who are new to this, those who are not aware about what Justice for Kopi is all about, please share the information so that it spreads across. People get to know the injustice that was done to Kopi and the friends, which today has led us to come up with new proposal for the change, and we want the change to happen as soon as possible. So please help us to spread the news. Well, my advice to anyone is one simple thing: is love and care for them. Right? Uh, if anyone comes and tell you, I would like to buy a dog, tell them, why don't you adopt one? That's the most important thing. And to be exact, or to be precise, they are no different from Rottweilers, German Shepherds, all those pedigrees that you see out there, right? It's just that they are not they are not the known brand out there. But if you ask me, they are the best breed to have. Less problem, less maintenance, and all they expect from you is just few things: one, food; two, care; three, compassion. And what you get in return is very simple: you get tons of love and joyful moments from them. Okay, so this is one that I like to say. Number two is, My kind advice to people out there is also to see if you notice any abuse, if you notice anyone who's neglecting or anyone is trying to harm any pets or animals out there, at any one time, just feel free to reach out to us. We will guide you on how to report. Be blunt, be bold, be brave to do the report because your identity will be covered. We will not inform and we will guide you on how to make this report. We want to curb all these unwanted incidents, especially when there's a lot of abuse cases which doesn't have evidence, which doesn't have rightful information, and people are not coming forward to report. So this is my second advice to anyone out there. Please be bold, be the voice for the voiceless. You are the one, you are the only one that we can rely on. The general public is the one that we rely on. We can't be going everywhere. So you can do what we are doing. You can go and voice out for the voiceless. So that's my second advice to people.